In this Gem Cut Studio or GCS tutorial, I want to recreate a paper or PDF design called Golden Steps into GCS. I want to put this design into GCS because it's a fairly standard looking emerald or rectangle design, and I need to have a rectangle design in my growing GCS library of designs. That way, when I need to cut future stone into an emerald shape, I can open this file, and using GCS, I will be able to see how the finished gemstone should look if I cut it with this GCS formatted design. I'll also be able to use GCS to determine if the design can be further optimized for a specific refractive index to cut a more brilliant gemstone by just tweaking the design. This design was created for quartz, which has a refractive index of 1.544 to 1.553, but GCS will allow me to see if I can optimize this design when using a different refractive index. Also notice that this PDF or paper copy didn't label any of the tiers, such as G1 for girdle, P1, P2 for pavilion, C1, C2 for crown, or T for table. So I want to give the tiers labels so I can look at the design and see which tier cut where and where I am working with this design. So finally, as I'll show you later, the cutting order seems wrong to me. For example, I cut the table last, so I want it to be the final instruction of the crown. It's currently not the final instruction in this PDF, so I will move the cutting instructions or lines up or down as needed to have the design that reflects the order of cutting the instructions the way I personally prefer to cut this gemstone design. Again, I'm not saying my way is the best way to cut this design. Each cutter has their own preference. I'm just going to show you how you can use GCS to move the cutting instructions around to suit your personal preferences for cutting order. So I'll optimize the cutting order for me. I've created a playlist on YouTube where I will link all the GCS tutorials that I know of, those created by me, as well as any GCS tutorial created by others on YouTube. That'll give you one convenient place to go look for help on any GCS topic that you want. If you know of other GCS tutorials that are not on this playlist, just let me know in the comments and I'll update the playlist. You can click the link on the screen to find the playlist. Please consider liking and subscribing to my tutorials. That gives me feedback that you're finding these videos useful. Please also comment after viewing the video. Let me know what else you want to learn, and if there's a different way of doing anything from what I show, please explain your method in the comments so that we can all benefit. When it comes to faceting, my experience is that there's rarely just one way of doing something, so hearing about different methods is always useful and helpful. Thanks. Here is the PDF file of the Golden Steps design. I got this design at the United States Fasteners Guild website, and here's the link. The U.S. Fasteners Guild has a tab called Library, and in that tab is a drop-down menu which has the link to faceting diagrams, where there's a large number of gem cutting designs. This design is in a PDF format which GCS cannot read. So the first step is to recreate this design in a GCS format, and then I can add it to my library of GCS formatted gem cutting designs. This design was created by Greg Glenn. I think that anyone can access this library. I'm not 100% certain. If you can't access the library, you may need to register with the USFG. No worries, registration's free. I don't believe you need to become a member of the USFG to access the library, but you may want to consider joining. You do have to pay a small annual fee to become a member, but it's worth it. I'd appreciate it if someone lets us know in the comments if anyone can access this library, or if you need to register with the USFG. Again, that's free. Or if you need to become a member of the USFG, which I don't think you do. Let us know. This is a good design for an emerald or rectangular shaped cut, but at this point I don't really have a favorite emerald cut design. So over time, I will evaluate and cut other emerald shaped designs in my quest for a favorite emerald design. If you have a favorite, let us know in the comments. This will be the first emerald cut design I put into my growing GCS library of gem cut designs. Again, here is the paper copy or PDF of how this design should look once it is cut, and it shows some key information about cutting this design. Some key information shown is that the design is for quartz, which includes amethyst, ametrine, citrine, smoky quartz, rose quartz, and it has a refractive index of 1.540. The design has 53 facets, and uses a 96 gear index tooth to cut the design. The TW, T to W, and U to W information is also important, as the T to W shows the table to width ratio of 1.044. This is the long side of the table, and it means if you cut a stone 12 millimeters wide, the table will be 1.044 times the width, or just over 12 millimeters, or 12.528 millimeters if you're exact. That's how long the table will be. The U to W is also talking about the table, but it's the short side. So the width of the table for a 12 millimeter wide stone would be 12 times 0.444, or 5.328 millimeters wide. The PDF instructions for cutting this design are shown here. There are a total of 22 lines of instruction, or tiers, for this design. So let's put my PDF copy of this design into a GCS format. As we learned in previous tutorials, to begin working with a new design in GCS, go to File, New. This resets the application, and GCS gives us a block or cube of gem rough to begin cutting on. Let's start by adding the basic information about our design. Go to Edit, Info, Comments, and type in the title as Golden Steps. And type in the author as Greg Glenn. I'm going to make the date as blank because I don't know when from this PDF Greg Glenn created this design. So now let's save a copy of our file into GCS. Go to File, Save As, and type in Golden Steps as the file. It's now in our growing library of GCS formatted gem cutting designs. The first line of cutting instructions is shown here. We'll start by cutting the bottom half or pavilion of our gemstone, so make sure that you have pavilion highlighted. We learned the rule on symmetry in a previous tutorial, and that rule is that if the jump or distance between indexes or facets is equal, you have symmetry. So in this case, the jump from 24 to 72 is a distance of 48, and the jump from 72 back to 24 is also 48. 72 to 96 is 24, and the jump from 96 or 0 to 24 is 24, and 24 plus 24 is 48. So the jump is the same, so we have symmetry with no mirror. In fact, all the lines of instruction for this design are symmetrical except the table, with no mirror. So please refer to the previous tutorial on symmetry if you're confused on how symmetry works, because I devoted an entire tutorial to that topic. So I'll just be quickly adding the lines of instruction for this design into GCS. So to record this line of instruction in GCS, put 24 in the base index, 2 in symmetry, mirror at 0, and 90 degrees as the masked angle. Use the depth slider to eyeball a rectangle about the same as what the diagram looks like. And press cut. The PDF design has no comments, but let's add some. Let's put in a comment here. Set length. The second line of instruction is shown here. Set the base index to 96, symmetry to 2, mirror to 0, and 90 degrees as the masked angle, and use the depth slider again to eyeball the cut so it matches the diagram for this gemstone. Press cut and put the comment set width. I'll be selecting save after every line so I don't lose any data. The third line of instruction is shown here. Set the base index to 96, symmetry to 4, mirror to 0, and 90 degrees as the masked angle, and use the depth slider to eyeball the cut so it matches the diagram. Press cut and put in the comment, establish corners. The fourth line of instruction is shown here. Set the base index to 96, symmetry to 2, mirror to 0, and 46 degrees as the mast angle. And again, use the depth slider to eyeball the cut so it matches the diagram. Press cut and put in the comment, establish side girdle line. For the fifth line of instruction, set the base index to 96, symmetry to 2, mirror to 0, and 44 degrees as the mast angle. Again, use the depth slider to eyeball the cut so it matches the diagram. Press cut and put in the comment, cut as required to allow equal steps. Sixth line of instruction shown here, base index 96, symmetry 2, mirror 0, and 42 for the mast angle. Again, use the depth slider, eyeball the cut so it matches the diagram. Press cut, and the comment will be cut as required to allow equal steps. Next line of instruction shown here, base index 96, symmetry 2, mirror 0, 40 degrees mast angle, and again use the depth slider so it matches the diagram. Press cut, and the comment will be cut as required to allow equal steps. Eighth line of instruction shown here, base index 24, symmetry 2, mirror 0, 46 degrees is the mast angle, and again use the depth slider to eyeball the cut and match the diagram. Press cut, and the comment will be level girdle. The ninth line of instruction shown here, base index 24, symmetry 2, mirror 0, 44 degrees mast angle. This time we can use the jump feature of GCS to meet the 96 and 48 indexes previously cut and level the girdle. Press cut and put in the comment, cut to meet P2. Next line of instruction is shown here. Base index 24, symmetry 2, mirror 0, 42 degrees is the mast angle. Again, we can use the jump feature of GCS to meet the 96, 48 indexes previously cut. Press cut, and the comment will be cut to meet P3. Next line of instruction shown here, base index 24, symmetry 2, mirror 0, 40 degrees is the mast angle, and again use the jump feature to meet the 96, 48 indexes previously cut, and press cut and put in the comment, cut to meet P4. Next line of instruction is shown here. Base index is 12, symmetry 4, mirror 0, 46 degrees is the mast angle. And again, use the jump feature to meet the 9648 indexes and the 2472 indexes that we previously cut. Press cut and put in the comment, cut to meet P1, P5, and level girdle. Next line of instructions shown here, base index of 12, symmetry of 4, mirror of 0, and 44 degrees is the mast angle. Again, use the jump feature. Again, meet the 9648 indexes and the 2472 indexes that we previously cut. Press cut and put in the comment, cut to meet P2, P6. Now we need to transfer to cut the crown or the upper part of our gemstone. So ensure you highlight crown and not pavilion. The first line of instruction for the crown is shown here. Set the base index to 96, symmetry to 2, mirror to 0, 30 degrees is the mast angle, and again we'll use the depth slider to establish a girdle width. I explained in previous tutorials how you can go back later to adjust the girdle width if you want. Press cut and put in the comment, set girdle thickness. Next line of instruction shown here, base index 96, symmetry 2, mirror 0, and a 20 degree mast angle. Use the depth slider to cut so that it kind of matches the diagram. Press cut and put in the comment, cut as required to allow equal steps. Next line of instruction is shown here. Base index of 96, symmetry of 2, mirror to 0, 15 degrees is the mast angle, and again we'll use the depth slider. Press cut, and the comment will be cut as required to allow equal steps. Next line of instructions shown here, and as I explained in previous tutorials, once you set the mast angle to 0 for a table, any number that's in the base index, symmetry, or mirror are irrelevant. So set 0 degrees in the mast angle, leave everything else alone, and use the depth slider to eyeball the cut so it matches the diagram for this gemstone. Press cut and put in the comment, cut as required to allow equal steps. Next line of instruction is shown here. Base index 24, symmetry 2, mirror 0, and a 30 degrees mast angle. And again, we'll use the depth slider to establish the girdle width. Press cut, and the comment will be level girdle. Next line of instruction is shown here. Base index 24, symmetry 2, mirror 0, 20 degrees as the mast angle, and the jump feature can be used here to meet point. So want to meet where we did the 9648 index. Press cut and put in the comment, meet C2. Next line of instructions shown here. Base index 24, symmetry 2, mirror 0, and a 15 degree mast angle. Again, we'll use the jump feature to the meet point established with the 9648 index that we previously cut. Press cut, and the comment is meet C3. Next Next line of instruction is shown here. Base index 12, symmetry to 4, mirror to 0, and 30-degree index. And use the jump feature to jump to the meet point established with the 9648 index and the 2472 indexes. Press cut and put in the comment, level girdle. Next line of instruction shown here. Base index is 12, again symmetry is 4, mirror to 0, and 20 degrees as the mast angle. And again, we'll use the jump feature to jump to the meet point that we established with the 9648 and the 2472 indexes. Press cut, and the comment is level the second tier. Okay, save the file because we have all the cutting instructions in the GCS format now. So now let's use the cutting assistant feature of GCS to proof cut this design and evaluate the order of the tiers to see how this design will be cut according to these instructions. To access the cutting assistant, go to Tools, Cutting Assistant, and you can either go cut by cut, facet by facet, selecting next facet, or you can go line by line, tier by tier, by selecting next tier. I'll just go tier by tier instead of facet by facet to review with how this will be cut. Okay, so now there are some lines or tiers that I want to move around based on the way that I personally prefer to cut this design. To move a line of cutting instruction up or down with GCS, you just highlight the tier and either select the move up or the move down button until you get the line where you want it. First, I'll move the table down to the final instruction on the crown side because I always cut the table last. That's just me. Highlight the table line and select move down until the table is the final set of instructions. For me personally, I want to cut all the tiers that are at the same mast angle before moving to the next mast angle. So for the pavilion, I'll move all the tiers with the 46-degree mast angle up so they're all grouped together. And then all the tiers with the 44-degree mast angle, and then all the 42 mast angle, and then the 40-degree mast angle lines all together. But now some of the comments that I put in the lines are incorrect, where I referenced a tier that I've now moved around to a different cutting order. For example, for the tier P3, the comment is to cut to meet P1, P5. But now I need to change this comment to say cut to meet P1, P2 because I've moved the lines around. I'll just make all the changes to the comments and you can see as I do it, and you'll know why I made these changes. For the crown, I want to move all the crown lines around so that all the tiers for the 30-degree mast angle are grouped together. So I cut them all before having to change the mast angle. And I'll group the tiers with the 20-degree mast angle together and the 15-degree mast angle. Just like with the pavilion, I need to make a couple corrections to the comments for the crown now that I've moved some of the lines around. The comment for tier C5 needs to be changed to say meet C4, not C2. The comment for tier C8 needs to say meet C7, not what it currently says, which is to meet C3. So I'll make these changes to the comments. Now that I have the design the way I personally want to cut it, I'll run through the cutting assistant feature one more time just to see if the proof cut is the way I prefer to cut this design. And again, I'll go tier by tier. Okay, cutting sequence looks good, so save the file for a final time, and I believe we're done. In this tutorial, I've shown you some of the features of GCS, including adding comments, and after putting the PDF design into GCS, to go back and modify the comments, to put in the right names. I showed you how to move a line up or down in the cutting instructions to reflect the order that you, as a cutter, want to cut this design. I also showed you the cutting assistant feature of GCS so that you can walk through or proof cut by cut, or tier by tier, cutting instructions to get a visual of how this stone will be cut. Finally, I met my goal of loading this PDF rectangle or emerald design into my growing GCS library of gem cutting designs. It's in a GCS format, so I can use this design to cut future gemstones, especially those with a different refractive index. But I'll save that for a future tutorial. Please let me know in the comments if you have a different method to use GCS, or if I misstated anything, and definitely let me know what else you'd like to learn about GCS. Your comments and views are always welcome, and as always, happy fastening, everyone.